the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, let's see. Roll call. Ms. McHugh.
Here.
Mr. Questwell contacted me. He will not be joining us tonight, so he will have an excused absence. Mr. Dillon.
Here.
Ms. Marchioni.
Here.
Ms. Bubian. Ms. Bonnie.
Here, sorry.
No, it's all good. Ms. Messier.
Here.
Ms. Quinn.
Here.
Mr. Rhodes. Ms. Cohen.
Here.
Mr. Hubner.
here.
And I am, in fact, here. So we've got 10 out of 11, so that's a quorum. That would bring us to public comments. Anybody want to make public comments to the Budget Committee? There's an opportunity at the beginning and the end. No pressure.
No pressure, I will wait till the end then, thank you.
Certainly. Thanks for coming. We appreciate the audience. Let's see, we need to add one thing under approval of minutes, but let's just take the one that's listed first. Can I get a motion on the August 26, 2025 minutes?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
So, Ms. Quinn, I heard move it. Who was the second?
I'll second.
And,
Yes.
and Ms. Messier, second. Thank you. Any discussion on those minutes? All right. All those in favor of approving the minutes as written?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so that's 10 to 0. We'd requested a redraft of the July 2025 minutes, and I looked through my inbox. I couldn't find them, so we don't have them. I'll reach out to our recording secretary again and see where we're at with that. I know there was some discussions, and I thought we had left it at a point of clarity, but I haven't seen any updated.
They're on the website, but I don't think they've been revised.
Right, I mean the revised version, yeah, not the draft that
The
we
revision
didn't.
was requested though?
Yes, yeah, and there was some discussion around it.
Did we indicate what revisions needed to be made?
We did in open meeting as discussed by the committee.
I wonder what the complaint was, but did the body?
No, specific requests were made by a member, and there was no objection to those requests. We don't.
So there was no lack of instruction to the secretary, is my point.
So there was some discussion back about how minutes had been taken previously and how they're being taken, and if there was a desired change in format, right? So, which basically revolved around verbatim versus more summary type minutes. And what I had indicated was the summary type minutes is fine. What the committee is requesting are the changes discussed in the meeting. And
What I recall, Mr. Chairman, is we instructed, is it Tina? We instructed
So
her-
we don't like to talk about people, we like to talk about positions. So the recording secretary for the committee.
We instructed her by our consensus that she should listen to the actual recording and to correct the request of the member.
Correct.
Do that.
Correct.
She was
So,
supposed to just listen to the recording and make sure that her recording of what was said by the member is accurate.
okay, so I've received nothing back from her. So I'll reach out to her tomorrow or the day after and double check where she's at with that. If that's acceptable to the committee.
The member felt that she was misquoted in the minutes.
Yeah, 100%. I think that was made crystal clear in the last meeting. There, anything else on minutes? All right. So received the Deerfield School District budget and revenue update. We received that by email, and that was circulated by the school board chair. Is there any questions or discussion around those documents?
Sorry, are we looking at 25, 26, or 24, 25 completed?
Whichever you'd like.
I have a question on the final 24, 25 reconciliation.
Sure.
So
For the expenditure or revenue?
expenditure,
Sure.
so the remaining balance for the 24, 25 school year was 661,312.32.
Yes.
Hold on, just one second. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page as we go through this. Which page are you on?
Page
The
10.
Okay, bottom left. Okay, so for anybody who's following along, it's the last page, bottom left. Please, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just want to make sure we're all looking at the
Yeah.
same thing.
She was unable to print.
So I just wanted to know if you knew what was being retained by the school district out of the surplus balance and what might be returned to taxpayers, if anything.
I don't recall the exact amount that's being retained. 250, I'm gonna guess. I guess I should not guess. And then I believe the remainder is being returned. We could certainly get the form number for you. Were you waving at me?
Wasn't the comment made by the superintendent that the 661 number was before
Warrants.
before warrant articles and retention? But she gave no numbers as to that in that meeting.
Okay, so then it would be, I think we have 260 in warrant articles. And then I don't recall if they voted on for retainage. I can look at the prior minutes from the meeting if that's helpful.
Okay.
When do you think we would have that?
I can look at the minutes right now.
So momentarily,
Let me just get to the drive.
momentarily.
Town boy.
Let's see.
There's no line item in here for warrant articles, so I would be surprised if that was being adjusted out of this 661.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Could you?
There's no line item in this budget noting the warrant articles like you have on the town side.
Yeah, correct. That's typical for the school side, that they don't list the warrant articles in the operating budget.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a question I asked at the meeting.
There was a few different, okay. They voted to retain 150.
150.
So there was 260 in warrant articles and then 150 was retained.
Do you know how much was retained the previous year? If any?
There was definitely some retained the previous year. I imagine it was closer to 250 or 3. Yeah,
So an important piece to remember is the retainage is only a one-year retain. So if the money is not used within a calendar year, well, not a calendar year, but a budgetary
Fiscal
year,
year.
fiscal year, then that money goes back to offset the taxes. So if you retain $250,000 every year, then the net is essentially zero, right? Because the $250,000 you give back is then re-retained. If you retain a smaller amount of money, then the difference between those will come back. So so I'm not 100% sure. So if they retained $250,000 previously and now they're going to retain 150, that means there would be $100,000
Right.
this year coming back to offset taxes because of the difference in those two amounts.
Right, last year, the warrants and retainage was 400,000, but I don't know what portion of that was warrants.
250, I think, was
I'm
warrants.
almost positive.
Okay, so last year you retained 150 as well. And
Okay.
the surplus return to offset taxes last year was 199,698, so about 200,000.
Kendra, on the last page of the report where the 661, 312 is.
Yep.
You have the the balance of the budget that's, or the total of the budget. And the 259 and the 248, those are the food and the grant budgets?
Yes.
So correct my math if it's wrong, but out of the 661, you're retaining 150, 260 goes to warrants. That's 410, so you'd be looking at 250 going back to offset taxes.
I've not done the math myself, but various people are nodding, so I will trust the math. Not Errol, not Errol, though.
Not Errol's math?
He's saying no.
I'm not doing the math.
Oh,
That's approximately correct.
okay.
All right, is there any other discussion on the school district budget and/or revenue sheet?
We also, at the last school board meeting, did a budget overview for the last default budget. If there's questions about that, I could try to answer those as well. Or I would encourage people to watch the meeting. Look, we posted the presentation as well.
Are you talking about the current default budget? We're up, yes, not the proposed budget
Correct.
for next year.
Current for this school year.
Okay.
And we start, as I included in my email earlier, we get the principal's budget, I believe, October 15th. And we have historically invited MBC members to attend the meetings. After our budget discussions, we invite them up if they want to ask any questions or make comments or whatever at that time. So we intend to do that again this year if people are interested in talking about the budget before it comes to the MBC. So October 15th kicks off the party.
I have a question. When you get your weekly manifest, do you get invoices from the SAU for their services? Or is it
I
just a
don't know.
bookkeeping adjustment? Like, you don't actually write a check to the SAU?
Does the SAU write a check to the SAU? I doubt it. I don't know. I
Well,
can't speak to that.
Deerfield School District's books are kept separate from the SAU, so it's not
Yeah.
SAU to SAU, it's.
But it's the
Deerfield.
SAU writing the Deerfield School District checks.
Right, but, well, they write all the Deerfield School District checks, so it's just a question as to whether,
I don't know.
okay.
I don't know.
So when you see the weekly manifest, you don't get a breakdown on the SAU's billings?
Not that I specifically recall. I mean, I don't know that it would be listed like SAU. It might be physical therapy services or something like that. I don't know. I don't know.
Does the treasurer look at that, or?
Yes. And it's signed off by only 2 members of the school board.
And that's delegated?
Correct.
That's a little curious. So why isn't it that a majority of the board would sign off on that
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
past practice?
Yeah, that's how it's been since I joined, at least. It's been 2 members sign off.
Mr. Yubner, how many select board members sign off on the manifest for the town? All 5?
Yeah, and it never comes up on the agenda of the school board.
Right.
Yeah, it's a different kind of agenda entry. They do minutes, but not manifests and payables. The town does
Right.
manifests and payables and minutes. I think there's some hanky-panky going on, is it?
I said nothing to that affair.
I-
I'm just surprised that a minority of a board can sign off on something. Typically, any action taken by a board requires a majority approval for the action to move forward.
Well, you said how many sign off, typically it's all 5 of us, but sometimes there's only 3.
That's still a majority,
a
or a
quorum.
5-member
That's a majority.
board.
Right.
So if only 2 signed off, would that still go through? town administrator. Do you agree with that analysis, that if only 2 selectmen signed off on the manifest, that it would not go through?
That's correct.
It is, thank you.
Wouldn't this check?
Okay, thank you, because that's what I would expect.
But so that's a corporate governance question, if the board.
Well,
I
we're
don't know
not a
if-
corporate.
No, I understand, but I don't know how the SAU works. We don't have an SAU here, we just have the board. So if mechanically the SAU is permitted to, do that, which I wouldn't be surprised, actually, just given.
Sort of their purpose.
Yeah, it's sort of what they do. So-
Well, wait, no. I think we're getting into some very swampy territory. So that would be like saying the business administrator on the town side is hired to cut checks and pay bills. That's sort of what they're hired to do, right, is to do those things. But they can't go off and do those things in a vacuum. They require governing body.
No,
Approval.
But it could, in fact, I don't know what the SAU agreement looks like, but you could certainly, and I don't know what the RSA permits as well, but you could certainly have a full-throated SAU preparing all that stuff and saying that they would like to have a designated and authorized subcommittee of the board to look after those. So.
Right, it is a designated subcommittee that we designate after
And
elections.
often designated subcommittees will have the authority of the board. So I don't know I don't know your particular case, but it's in the realm of the possible. We just need to understand how it actually works.
Yeah, and I will say, I was just reading an audit report today, and that was not something identified in our audit report as being a deficiency, so I would imagine it's kosher, but I don't know why.
Is it something we could learn about? in the
I'm
future?
sure we could learn about it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I have one.
Please.
It's not in light of what we were just talking about. I know Amber in the past has given us a breakdown of, some notes to say what is under contracted services. Is there a way we can get like specifics, what is actually being paid under the contracted services? Because it's just so vague.
For every monthly report?
Not for every monthly report,
Oh,
just
yeah,
like
yeah.
when we get into the thick of budget season and.
Yes, and that
Just to kinda
document
know.
does already exist, actually.
Okay.
I was just looking at, on the SAU website, under the budget and financial, there, I'll try to send it around. But there is a breakdown for all of those budget lines, what falls under them.
Perfect, that would be so helpful.
Wait, I guess I should confirm, are you talking about special ed or also?
There's a few different, so contracted services is gonna be under regular ed as
Yeah.
well. It's a smaller spend, obviously, than the special ed, but I think there's 3 separate areas that we have contracted services.
Okay, well, I think the document that I'm referencing is only special ed, but I
Special
can,
ed,
I
okay.
can probably figure something out as a guiding document.
Yeah, because there's another one after special ed.
Yeah, there's one
That's
for,
pretty, yeah,
like, the school building.
right. Yeah, it's under maintenance and she's given us notes before, but yeah, it would be wonderful to kind of see what is actually being paid through that.
Yeah, yeah, like when we get the budget binder, they have appendices, so it will say like Appendix A, and it's
Right.
all the contracted services.
Right.
But yeah, I can create sort of a broad, what these different lines are and what might fall under those.
I did want to say that I very much appreciate the PowerPoint presentation of the budget breakdown that you do. It really, I don't know if this is the second or third year you've done it, second. It's very readable, digestible, and helpful in kind of formulating with your pie charts and everything, so thank you for that.
I'm trying to make it like slightly digestible, but it's a big budget, so.
It is, but you've done a really good job of breaking it down.
Digestible with some,
Indigestion, is that what you said?
I'm getting indigestion.
I know we don't govern the SAU budget at this MBC, but I did just want to mention that their budget for the 26-27, their proposed budget is out. And Deerfield, their budget is up 4% for the SAU, and the Deerfield portion is up 5.7% over last year. So everybody should, if they haven't already, get their hands on that. Do you know when
Sure do.
when that is voted?
Yes, I do. So there are 2 full SAU board meetings where all board members from all 5 districts go and argue about the budget and then vote on the budget. So the first of those meetings is October 8th. So that's where they really explain everything that's in it. And then, obviously the public is welcome. It is a public meeting. They aren't generally recorded. So if you're interested, I would come in person. They're at Pembroke, usually in the cafeteria, Pembroke Academy. And then the second one is on October 22nd.
Is that the voting
Yes,
meeting?
generally, yes.
Yes, please.
Any sense of why we're paying more than our fair share?
Yeah, so I don't know the formula off the top of my head, but it is,
Based on the square miles of the
it
town,
is based on the assessment value of the towns.
of the town, okay, so.
And the student population.
Student
Student
population.
population.
And so it, just to be clear, right, according to the formula agreed upon by the members of the SAU, Deerfield pays its fair share, no more, no less, because that's a contracted item, and that formula was developed many, many years ago, and remains in effect. So it is what it is.
Could the slight increase be the fact that we just had a reassessment here in town and those numbers might have shifted or something?
I don't know.
Curious to know if it's based on what, because we just went to 1.2 billion, didn't we?
Right,
As a town?
So.
Yes.
so it's possible.
So there's a change in assessment. There are salary increases, benefit increases on the SAU side. I don't think I've ever seen an SAU budget go down year over year. I know Tom has served a long time on the MBC on years that I haven't, and have you ever seen a SAU budget go down?
No, usually the fight's the other way.
Yeah, so,
But for the record, the town's valuation went from 800 million to 1.2 billion, which is a 50% increase, if my math is correct.
And if the towns don't all do their evaluation at the same time,
Yeah.
if they're staggered, then I can see that we would get hit early on when we have our increase, and then we would enjoy lagging when other towns are getting their increase. I would think that you might see percentages that would go up when you have your assessment and then kind of trickle down as the other towns have their assessments in staggered years. That would seem logical to me, but.
so if you follow it, it slides around year to year. It's recalculated every year.
Yeah.
Every year it's recalculated based on whatever their proposed spend is.
But we do seem to maintain the second highest payer, and,
Yes.
yeah, it's always been Pembroke,
Pembroke,
Deerfield.
Deerfield.
Yeah.
Right, and there have been years where we were the primary funder of this.
Oh, really? Interesting.
That's my recollection.
So it's not really far off to say that 51 square miles has a slight impact. Because we're bigger than a lot of the others, I think.
Pembroke has 3 schools.
Yeah, but how many,
Yeah, it's true.
If it's, valuation, if it's property valuation, you can only cram so much,
Pass that to Eric.
Yep.
so many
Well,
properties.
and then if you look at other towns, like Allenstown, a lot of their real estate is
That was for you.
gobbled up by the state park and. All right, anything else on the,
I just have one more question.
Please.
How do we know, are specialists covered under the teacher's contract?
Like the math and reading?
Right.
Yes.
So it's not separate, like contracted services, special ed, okay. So it is
They're-
under.
They are on the certified roster.
Gotcha.
If they're certified staff.
Right, which is, okay.
Yeah, they don't fall under contracted services.
Right, okay.
You guys are really testing my budget on
You're doing good. You're answering.
I've done it a few years, so still more to learn.
anything else on the school side?
Obviously, if anyone has questions in the meantime, I know there wasn't a lot of chance to look at them, so feel free to email me and we can get you answers as soon as possible.
I was looking for the high school breakdown on number of students and tuition. And I know you had indicated that it would be maybe in November, but I'm hoping maybe we could get that sooner to take a look at that, because we must have it, right? We know
I
the
think
tuition.
we know roughly, like
Yeah.
there were, we received our first invoice probably around mid-August, but students are allowed to switch schools after that. So I think we have rough numbers, but for budget season, we call the schools and ask what students are where.
Yeah.
And then we have a specific number.
Okay.
You need to buy a better quality pen.
Did your pen just explode?
It exploded. I don't know.
Shooting projectiles at me.
That happened to me last meeting too.
Is it rough, but it's roughly, what, half of last year's eighth grade class chose Co-Brown, the other half chose Concord High, and maybe one or two chose Pembroke, if any?
Yeah, I have not heard that it's that different from the tuition projection last year, but I don't know.
And this is the second class in Co-Brown, correct?
Correct.
And those were 3-year
They
agreements?
were.
So there's one more year under the current agreement.
Yes, with renewal, 1 year, 1 to 2 year renewal space, depending on the school, but.
So I just have a question about that. So Co-Brown has agreed to accept X number of students?
Well, any and all.
So there's no picking and choosing like they did in the past
No.
Yes, that was
before?
a term of negotiation, is that we said we would only make contracts with schools that would accept all of our students.
Good,
And
thank you.
that's true for all 3 schools.
Right.
Interestingly enough, the uptake rate at Pembroke Academy, in my opinion, remains surprisingly low. There's only, I haven't looked in a year, but there was only 1 or 2 kids that
There
chose
might be
to.
5 now.
Yeah,
Again, I don't know for sure.
which out of, what, about 200 high school kids, that's a small percentage, but whatever it is, that's what school choice is, right? Pick the school you like the best and move forward. All right, anything else, school side? Going once? Going twice? All right, that brings us to the town side.
And would you like to go through the revenues or the expenses first? You have the reports in front of you, I think, right?
Indeed, we do. They were passed out early. Everyone should have one if you weren't here super early like some of us.
Start with the good news on revenue.
Go for it.
All right, so let's turn to the back page of the revenue report. Let the tail wag the dog here. You see that year-to-date revenues, and this is the September 18th report, $1,445,309, almost $10. And month-to-date, which I have to interpret based on the date at the top of the report, is 18 days worth. Would that be right, Karen?
Yes.
18 days worth, $87,582.65. And then all the breakdown of where that money came from is, of course, all the pages of it. So I guess I'll just ask for any questions or comments you may have by exception.
Yeah, so the committee had requested that the revenue estimates from last year be populated into this document, but I can't help but notice that has not been done. Is there a reason that has not been done?
We need to build that budget work. It hasn't been historically in the software, so I have to work with the software company to build that template to be able to insert those projections.
So most likely that'll lag till next year, or?
I'll see if they can do it for the next budget meeting, but the focus for this last month was building the 2026 expenditure budget for the proposed budget.
Fair enough, thanks.
All right, and then you want to go into the expenses? And again, if you turn to the last page, You read a book, you read the last page first. We had a budget of $4,541,977 originally. Then we had adjustments, which are primarily the warrant articles. And the net budget, therefore, of monies that we could expend that were approved by the taxpayers is $5,279,877. And the year-to-date expense is $3,601,282.90. And the balance therefore remaining from the net budget is $1,678,594.10. And that is 68.2% of the total net budget. If you calculate the, where we are in the year, in the calendar year, which is our fiscal year, we are 39/52 of the weeks, 39 weeks out of 52. And we realized some amazing math before the meeting that that's almost like a magic number here. So we calculated that we're at 75% of the way through the year, and we're at 68.2%. But as each meeting, we've cautioned not to necessarily say that that means we're doing good, because there is some lumpiness in the payments. It's not spread out in a linear fashion across the entire year. But we are certainly not as far through the budget as the year is through the year. So, questions?
So, once again, I think the warrant articles being calculated, the balance available on the warrant articles is included in that 1.678, which I've mentioned at a couple of meetings now. So that's throwing things off a little bit. The remaining balance on your operating budget is 1.121213. Excuse me, because you have to take out that 557,000 in warrant articles.
Let's just verify that the 68% represents 1.678 million divided by 5.279 and not divided by the original budget. Does somebody have a calculator handy? Stacy?
Pretty sure I've already done this, but I'm happy to do
I
it.
just want to make sure that the basis for the percentage calculation is being
Right.
understood. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm under pressure. I'm dividing the wrong numbers.
1 second, Mr. Rhodes. So if we do the year-to-date expended on the budgeted amount of 4.5 million, that would bring us to 79%. So based on that, I'm going to say that the 3,601,283 divided by the 5,279,877 is going to give us the 68, and something up because the decimal's off by 1 point, but that's,
Yeah,
Wouldn't you want to break out only the unexpended warrant article?
that's what that does.
The full 500,000?
Well, the warrants carry through on all of those bottom lines. So when you take that net budget of 5,279, that includes the 737 warrants. When you take the next column over of the year-to-date expenses, 3.6, that includes the 180 above it. And when you take your balance available of 1.678, it includes the 557 in warrant articles that are as of yet unexpended.
yeah.
So that is kind of understating the spend of the original budget.
Exactly. So if you take you have to deduct that year-to-date expenditure on the warrant articles. If you take that 180 out of your 3.6, you're left with about 3.4 year-to-date expenses excluding warrant articles. And if you take that against your budget number of 4.541, you're at
80%, right?
75.3% year-to-date expenditure as of 9/12. And as of 9/12, we were 69.86% of the way through the year. So you're ahead, 75% versus about 70%. But some expenses are lumpy too, and I don't know
Yeah.
whether things have been prepaid and, that will equal out. But it's important not to include those warrant article numbers in the operating numbers. We're
So
looking
I-
at percentages.
So I agree with that 100%, because if those monies aren't spent, most of them carry over, right? Most of them don't
Can't use
lapse.
them in the town for operating expense.
Correct,
So it's not available operating expense.
correct.
So Karen, are you following what we're saying? Is it possible Pete can correct this to show the actual monies available for operating expense?
We can change the report to format it that way, yes.
Yeah, I think it would be beneficial to see operating expenses and operating funds as one bite, and then warrant article expenses, warrant article funds as a separate bite, because the two are really two different bushel baskets.
So we could have two grand totals, one that reflects operating money and one that reflects warrants. Make it clear.
Yeah, and then if you wanted a summation of both, you could have that as well.
I don't think we need to reformat the entire report, just the grand total lines.
Well, you do though,
Separate.
because when you input it, you have to put in the beginning and the ending account numbers. And so I'm not sure how it will skew the warrant article percentages as far as the budget.
All right, as long as you
I can try
understand
it.
what the concept is we're trying to get to, right? I think Pete
Yep.
figured that out.
The last budget report that went to the board this week had one of the large paving bills paid, and it was, I think, 1% over budget, total bottom line, with that bill in there.
But even with that approach, we haven't really changed much on the conclusion. We're still 75-ish to 69-ish, right?
75% spent year-to-date against a calendar of about 70%.
Well,
So-
75%.
75.
So we're
From the
75, we're
18.
75 spent on 75 through the year. It brings it up right.
39 out of
What,
52.
what date are you using?
9/12.
Right.
Oh, there's a different date on the two reports. Okay.
So the report, I ran 9/12/25,
Yeah,
that date, and it was 69.86% of the way through the year.
okay. Yeah, because it's 1 week difference. Okay, fair enough. So Karen, let's see if we can satisfy this breaking out of the warrant articles from that. And we can actually track even if the expense of the warrant articles, how far through the warrant articles budgets have we come in the same amount of time? Not that they are spent evenly, of course.
I'm sorry, Mr. Rose, did you have something you wanted to interject with earlier? I was doing some math.
I've interjected it.
Oh,
I slipped it right past you.
thank you, thank you. It's easier than it sounds. All right, I'm
I
sorry.
mean, we can always do the math real quick if it's a hassle to redo the reports. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page as to what we're looking at.
It's an excellent call out, because if you're not looking carefully, one could easily
It
get.
does understate our
misframed.
spend
Right,
by about 5 points, so that's
right.
something we should correct, I think. I'd rather not do the math each time and remember it. Let's let the report say it.
But I think the principle's a good principle of keeping operating revenues and expenses together and keeping not all, I guess most warrant articles are capital related somehow, bigger spends, but keeping the capital items separate is a good principle to follow, it seems to me.
Yeah, because warrant articles really aren't operating budget articles, right?
No,
They're
these are trusts.
standalone.
And some of these are trusts, they're
Yeah.
going right in, Which we do have trust fund expenses listed as well. But yeah, like the winter road maintenance, highway vehicle, that's all.
Are there any questions about the spends on the individual budget lines and categories? We have been going through all of these categories. We're about, I think we're approaching halfway. We've done some of the very meaty ones last night. We did Parks and Recs, we did the police department, some of all the town buildings and government buildings, at the George B. White, the town hall. We did, I think, 9 last night. I believe there were 9, and we did 6 and 7, so 13, 9, 12. We've done 22 of these so far. Whether that represents half, it depends on how much time we spend in each one, but we're approaching half, I would say, roughly. Do you know the count of the total number of budget packets there are?
I thought it was closer to
There's 2 more
60.
weeks left, yeah.
Yeah, but there's a lot of small ones that don't take as much time. We really got into the meat of it last night.
So that's an excellent segue to my question. Is the Board of Selectmen on target to deliver a proposed budget to the MBC on the agreed upon date?
We are, barring calamity.
Excellent.
And I might be calamity.
I was gonna say,
And so I'll follow up. Is that also true for the school board? Is the school board looking to hit the agreed upon date?
yeah, as far as I can tell, we're predicting the same schedule that we've had for the past 3 years or so.
In the past, I know that this board has requested that the school consider whether they could move the delivery of the budget closer. And I think the answer has always been, well, we have a process we go through and it's all set up and they have deadlines to meet, and basically the answer was, no, we can't. But it does leave us always with, sometimes not feeling like we have enough time to do the school when we have to work on the Saturdays and things like that. But I guess the answer still is there any way to change the process to start earlier so that we can get the budget in time to have more time to work on that?
I think I don't know for sure. I think the answer from the SAU perspective will be no, because they are doing the SAU budget. So I don't think they also have time to do every district's budget while they're doing the SAU budget.
And does this board have the authority to set dates for them?
No. No. The only action this committee could choose to take is to simply craft its own budget for either board, right? So the committee could craft its own operating budget for the municipality, for the town, as well as the school district.
It would be an interesting exercise to do that. Of course, more work, but imagine if we started with all zeros and we crafted a budget based on what we know of the town and what we know of the school.
Yeah, the challenge though is that it's not a very cooperative method. And I think for the purposes of an authoritative budget committee, it really hinges on cooperative work. Certainly, we've had rubs with various boards in the past, and we've seen how that impacts the process. It's my opinion, and it's a minority opinion, but it's a beautiful opinion. There is no legal reason that we, as Deerfield, have to do our elections and do our voting in March. You can certainly do it in April, May, and perhaps as late as June. The other thing that's a reality is the town and the school do not have to have their elections and their voting day on the same day. So if the school wanted, because one of the complaints from the school side, previous boards, I don't think I've heard it from the current board, but certainly previous boards, is they felt like they were predicting budgets so far out in the future that it was all just guesswork anyway. And that's why you had to leave a lot of margin for fluff, because God only knows what tomorrow brings. If you moved the voting day, the election day, to later in the year, that would bring those budgets closer into proximity to when their budgets start, because they start on a July 1st fiscal year. For the town, and that would be relatively pain-free, except for a standalone election, right, the cost of another local election. On the town side, it's not quite so easy, because you'd almost certainly, so it's already all messed up, because we vote in March on a budget that we started spending in the previous January. So we're 2 full months into a budget before we even know what we're gonna get, which makes no sense. So if you were to push it to, say, a May date or even a June date, presumably you would have to change the fiscal year of the town to match that of ideally to match that of the school, then everybody's on the same fiscal year, which means you would have a fiscal year that would be, 18 months long, right? So, and that would not be easy to pull off in this community, especially at this time.
Alternatively, we could vote in December or November.
No, those,
Previous year for the
no,
next year.
no, those dates are not available. So the dates for town meeting, whether it's traditional town meeting or SB2, are clearly noted in New Hampshire RSA. And so March is the earliest you can do it. I know you can go as late as May, and I'd have to look again whether you might be able to go actually into June.
So we can't just back the whole process up.
No, you have to
Staged
pick
by
one of
RSA.
those dates, and all of those dates, so a lot of what we do is a cascade of dates set by the state, right? Thou shalt by this date deliver these goods to the public so they can vote on it by the
So
state.
all the towns are in the same boat.
No, because there are towns that do it different months, but their schedule is simply skewed. So like the last day for petitioned warrant articles, if you have an April town meeting, your petition warrant articles can be submitted a month later than a town that's in March.
That just makes the situation worse for the town.
No,
Now
not-
we'll go 3 months.
No, you'd
without-
have to change your fiscal year. For the town, you'd have to change the fiscal year, which makes it very difficult. On the school side, it would actually potentially be very advantageous. I've mentioned it to previous boards. They had zero appetite for such things for various reasons. And I can see why. But that's the legal reality. We are a Dillon's rule state, right? We can only do that which the state allows us. The concept of local control in New Hampshire is a bit of a myth. We have local control over everything the state says we have local control over, right? And if we don't have express permission in law, we cannot do that.
The other problem with that is the transition year from one to the next. That would be a nightmare.
Yes.
I mean,
Oh, yeah, an 18 month,
18
yeah, or whatever it would be.
Yeah, the whole idea of doing that would be,
I'm sorry I brought the mess up.
Well, on the school side, it's easy. It's the town side
fine
that it
with me.
gets.
yeah,
It's the town side it
yeah,
gets.
but it's all laid out in RSA, and you gotta live within that.
Yeah, but the school could choose to change their month. They don't have to go lockstep with the town.
Yes, I will say, I assume there would be hesitation from the school side just because the town runs our elections for us currently. I don't know if they still would if we were doing it separately.
They would have to.
They would have to. So maybe the town would not be very excited about that.
Just like when you have a question for one special meeting, right?
Right.
The town clerk, the checklist people, they couldn't say,
Right.
no, we're not really interested in that, right?
Yes.
They shall do those duties. And the town would be obligated to pay for the election.
We have a
Right.
hard
Yeah,
time,
just
we have a hard time getting voters to come out for one election,
Right.
right? If we have two different elections,
So we have very good voter turnout at local elections as compared to communities of similar
we get
sizes.
about 35%.
There are a lot of communities that are well under 20. Please.
I have two issues on the town side. One, I believe that a legal opinion came to the town that you could not purchase a new highway vehicle from the warrant article funds.
So, yeah, we questioned whether the warrant article precluded us from doing that. The legal opinion, we went to a lawyer, and their opinion was, if you want to be safe and have nobody sue you or have any question about it, it's wise not to, just don't buy a truck this year, and that's the safe position. That's usually what legal people do.
That is what we say most of the time.
No
Right,
means
they're just
no.
basically
If you don't
saying,
want to get sued, don't do that.
we
Say it all
we
the time.
didn't agree, I personally didn't agree with that opinion. I don't think, when I read what the warrant article says and what the trust funds are for, I don't see that warrant article simply says we're not going to put that extra money into the fund. It doesn't say we can't spend the fund that's already been approved for that purpose by the voters. So that's my take on it, but the lawyer advised, wait until January 1st if you're going to buy a truck, basically.
Did you go to Upton and Hatfield on that?
What was the lawyer, Karen?
Yes, I did call Upton and Hatfield. So there's two separate warrant articles. One was to deposit money into the expendable trust, for repair replacement of highway vehicles. That passed. There was a separate warrant article to purchase a highway truck. And because that one failed, it kills the purpose for the year.
Right. And that's how I understand it as well.
That's always been my legal understanding of warrant articles, no means no.
Well, but in this case, there were two competing warrant articles, but there you go to, I think, essentially the tie rule. If you have a tie, this answer is still no.
The answer is no.
Yeah, the answer is no.
January 1.
Well, no, because one question was to put money into a trust fund.
Right.
That is not to buy a truck, that is to save money for future
But the
purchases.
purpose of the trust fund was to repair or replace in need a truck or any highway vehicle.
It could have been, so the trust fund is established so that the funds can be used for the replacement of a vehicle if repairing is not possible.
And so that's the situation we find ourselves in. We have an old truck that was advised not to be worth repairing, and so we were anticipating buying a used truck. And then the fact that the warrant article said, don't put, I think it was 350,000, I believe was the number, 350,000 into the trust fund for a new truck, I believe the warrant article said. But I felt it just meant they didn't want to put any more money into the trust fund. But we have the money that's in the trust fund. It's kind of like saying no more. And the money that's in the trust
Well,
fund,
no, there was $40,000 that was deposited into the trust fund that passed. And then there was a separate warrant article to raise and appropriate $350,000 for the purchase of a highway truck. And that one
No
failed.
trust fund involved at all, so it was just a purchase of a truck.
And it didn't differentiate whether it was a new truck or a used truck. It just said for the purchase of a highway truck. And because of that language, it failed.
but after discussion, it was decided to take the safe road and not buy a truck. And so we are going to repair the old truck, which has a rust between frame plates. They're gonna take it apart, clean out the rust, weld it back together so it'll pass inspection, and we're gonna use it for another year. It wasn't our preferred method to solve the problem, but it's what we have to do to,
Just wait till January, you don't have to get it inspected anymore.
it won't
Isn't that
start
a
till
thing?
January.
100% correct.
So I'm not clear on what exactly the attorney did not like. Because the language, the Highway Vehicle and Equipment Maintenance Expendable Trust Fund was created in 2023, allows you to purchase a vehicle if it can't be repaired, should repair not be possible. So where did he?
Repair is
Is
possible.
actually possible, but it's not
It's not the best
efficient.
course of
It's
action.
not advisable,
Not
it's
financially
throwing money
efficient.
down, throwing
But
money
it's
away.
not, the language of that warrant article.
That wasn't the problem.
No, the problem is the raise and appropriate 350. That failed.
Okay, but that doesn't, and he was saying that means because that failed, you can't buy a truck at all, even with the money that's already in the expendable trust
He was
fund?
suggesting that no means no, and so that means even the
Okay.
money that you had before, you can't spend, not just no means no,
So-
not
So-
for this money. That's where I disagreed with
That's
him.
an interesting interpretation.
So the means of this statute, no means that you cannot transfer funds from one line to the other. You cannot expend funds for that purpose for the entire year. So because the raise and appropriate was for the purpose of a highway truck, that means that you cannot spend any money in any operating fund, capital reserve fund, expendable trust fund, no tax dollars for the purpose of a highway truck for that calendar year.
The whole DRA mentality is.
Interesting, thank you. I did not know.
All purpose.
So,
So if you, that's the whole idea, so that's why no really does mean no.
so one thing that I thought might be considered is that language and that trust fund be amended at deliberative perhaps to say, rather than should repair not be possible, or,
You're missing a key
sensible,
part,
but
though.
anyway.
It's the $350,000 question
No, I know.
that failed,
Yeah.
that stuck a fork.
I get it, yep.
And this is actually, and your explanation is spot on, I agree with you 100%. And this actually illustrates quite well why people get very twitchy about, one, if we're going to ask a question on the ballot, right? An example is full-time firefighters, right? Well, we're not gonna hire any full-time firefighters, we just wanna put $1 in the line. Once you have $1 in the line, then you can do it. So some of us said, well, you should just ask the question,
do the voters of Deerfield think we should allow the select board to decide whether or not, if the time comes, we should hire full-time firefighters? And the people that support it don't want that question on the ballot, because if the answer comes back no, then no means no, right? And they're cognizant of that. That's sort of the tug and pull. And that's why people get persnickety about language. And to extrapolate out, it's one of the dangers of a citizen petition warrant article, because once it goes to deliberative, it can be molested by the deliberative body to say something or mean something that was not the intent of the people that signed, right? So you're taking a question that people sign their names to, and then making it something completely different that they don't support.
You're not supposed to be able to change the intent, but you can change the number of, like, the value of what they want, but not the intent.
Yeah, but again, if you believe that the body acted incorrectly, your only recourse is to go to Superior Court. So that means time and money, and the average citizen doesn't have the time or the money. And if you sue the town, then you get labeled with well, now you're costing us even more money because you're suing the town and you're suing the school
At
district.
deliberative, we need to make sure that when these wording changes are suggested, that they don't indeed change the intent of the 25 petitioners that brought the article, or the select board that brought the article, or the MBC that might have brought the article.
Good luck to you, my friend.
I think when the board of selectmen or the school board is drafting warrant articles, we need to be very careful about excluding things that we do have trust funds for.
Hence the resistance of the police cruiser, in my opinion. They don't want to put it on the ballot because if it doesn't pass, they don't get a cruiser this year. So they don't want that. Either way, if the new budget passes with a full cruiser in it, or the default budget becomes the budget with a half cruiser in it, they'll get a new cruiser this year. Because they'll either supplement the half cruiser with other money in the budget, or they will.
Not they, the select board has to approve that spending, so it's the select board that will do that.
Which is what's happened year after year.
Oh, believe me, I'm well aware. I'm well aware.
It looks like it already happened this year.
Yes, it happens every
Well, it's in the budget.
Ms. Marchioni,
I have
first, then.
one other question. I was going through the 24 annual report on the town side and looking at the auditor's report, and I don't know if anyone ever saw this, but it's worthy of attention. The opinion on governmental activities, this is on page 134 of the 2024 annual report. The auditor's opinion is adverse on the governmental activities for the town of Deerfield. Reason being that management has not recorded the long-term costs of retirement health care costs and obligations for other post-employment benefits related to the single employer plan and the governmental activities. So I don't know if that's something that's being worked on, but that seems like an accounting issue that might need to be addressed on the town side. For what
There
it's
a
worth.
response?
So
Our audits include a response from.
Don't know.
Well, my understanding, because I did talk to Pete about that, it's the, or finance administrator. It's the OPEB report. I think it's GASB 75 that the town has not been in compliance with. And so you'd have to hire an actuary to put that study together. And I think that's been cost prohibitive. I think that's why it hasn't been done. Because my understanding is that's not the first year that has appeared in the audit report.
Thank you. Mr. Rhodes.
Question, is it intent that can't be changed at the deliberative, or is it subject matter that can't be changed?
Subject matter.
That can't be changed at deliberative?
It's subject matter.
The subject matter, so intent, because intent is very hard to
Right.
assess, full stop.
Right.
So you're looking at me,
There's been some pretty clear-cut questions that have been put by citizens that have been completely inverted. And for me, if you invert somebody's question to make it do the opposite of what people sign to, you have molested their intent.
but the law is that you can.
Oh, I understand what the law is. That's why there's been no
Subject
lawsuit.
matter- It's subject matter, not intent.
Correct.
I need to interject that the opinion I was just stating about the police cruiser, of course, is again, as I said before, a minority opinion of the board, and the majority of the board would support not putting that as a warrant article, at least so far. We haven't finished our work.
I'm not sure this body is really in the position of hearing anything but the majority view. that's really the job of the representatives from either board. So I'm not interested in the minority view, and I don't think it's proper in this venue.
So I will disagree with that 100%, if you're to be fully informed, because we are an independent committee. We are independent from the select board, we are independent from the school board, sans two members. And it is always worth hearing the minority report on any issue to have a full, thorough understanding
yes.
of everything.
If asked, but if.
I think it's honorable to be proactive and allow minority
I can
opinions to be
describe the
shared.
discussion that we had and what the outcome was so that you're aware of what it was. That's all. It's just full information, full reporting.
Agreed.
I'm not sure that's what you're charged with by the select board, but I'll let them figure that out. That's their job.
Ms. McHugh, please.
I just wanted to ask if there's any other, we talked about the highway vehicle. Are there any other warrant articles that the select board is considering, or any other big spends that we need to think about this year? Just so we're all on the same page. I know a lot of us watch the select board meetings as well.
Well, there have been some stark increases in some of the services that we get, insurances and gas, and I guess the one that's 11% electricity is up 11. We're going through all that right now, but there's no real giant showstopper that I know of that's different from previous years yet. Whether we, do something with warrant articles at the end, what we're doing is going through each budget as they are, kind of talking a little bit about the possibility of a warrant article, and then we're kind of approving it kind of tentatively, putting it in the approval pile. But we reserve the right as a board, once we get to the end, we roll it all up to the final number to make adjustments, to go back again and revisit if necessary based on what the final total is. So they're not approved finally, they're approved along the way, but there's a final approval for the overall budget before we send it here to the MBC.
Doesn't the select board field warrant article suggestions from other bodies as well? I don't know how the CIP.
Well, this board, as I understand it, can also make warrant articles.
No.
Well, but you can do it through us? You basically make a recommendation to us?
We
that put one on?
can suggest that the select board or the school board take an action with respect to warrant articles. The budget committee cannot float its own warrant articles. There's only three ways to get an article on the ballot. Either put on by the select board, put on by the school board, or it's a citizen petitioned article. Those are the only three vehicles.
Okay. So you
Now,
can-
if you had,
That was
if you
sort of
had.
a question for Karen, because I think there are other, CIP was a particular issue that I was concerned with. Do those, are there, how does that get on?
That would be up to those boards to go to the select board and request a petition warrant
So
article.
those boards would then go to the select board with suggestions for, and then would the select board decide whether or not they wanted to do it, or,
Yes, and whether or not to recommend or not.
okay.
And if we don't, so of course, there could still be a petition for those then.
Right, so if we were the library committee, or whatever their trustees, whatever their title is, if they, so we're body X, and we go to select board and say, hey, we really need this, and we want this to be a standalone warrant article, so we can get this funded, we can do this really great thing. And the select board says, yeah, it's a great idea, but it's not the year for it, we're not gonna float it. That group could then, as private citizens, citizen petition, and put it onto the ballot. But there's only three ways to put a warrant onto the ballot. Select board, school board, citizen petition. Those are the three vehicles.
And in that example that you gave, Mr. Chairman, the select board might vote majority against the citizen approving that based on the fact that they don't feel that it's the right year to be burdening the taxpayers with that for whatever reason.
Yeah, like say probably, I don't know, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, there was a citizen petition warrant article to put a police cruiser, right, to fund a police cruiser. And the select board actually voted, I believe unanimously, to not support funding
that police cruiser by that citizen petition warrant article. Can you imagine? They were against police cruisers. That was the one time I know them to be against police cruisers.
Well, and in recent years, we've noted the 20 million warrant article that got changed at deliberative, of course, but there was also plenty of mixed recommendations, both from this board and from the select board on those warrant articles.
All right, anything else on the town? Yes, please.
As far as warrant articles from the town, I would anticipate a warrant article for the septic system. So either that as a separate appropriation or funds to be deposited into the building maintenance fund to be used for that purpose. And there was discussion at the last meeting about Raymond Ambulance Services being discontinued. That is not true. That contract is being renewed, but it is coming at a significant increase. So it's going from 17,000 to 70.
What was that?
17 to 70
What?
for the Raymond ambulance. So that is a five-fold?
Yeah, and that will be included in the operating budget. I
And the
anticipate.
default.
No, but in fairness, 17 was short money for that
Does,
service.
does this,
Having just had Raymond Ambulance and the ALS service and the whatever at my house this afternoon,
You all right?
I think I'm okay.
He's here.
But, no, I mean, they arrived quickly, they delivered the service that I think the town wanted and to support, and so
does the 70,000 go in the default budget?
That I'm not sure. I'll have to look into that more.
Well,
Because
we've
that's a
been over-
contracted service.
Yes, it is.
it is.
Well, but we've been overrunning the 17,000 several years now, as far as I know. And so.
Well, if it's a
I'm not sure
if
that
it's a
would be-
contracted service, then it goes into the default.
Yeah. They are
There's an
proposing a new
escalation
contract
clause
with a new
inside.
value, so
That would go into the default.
Okay.
Is this a sole contract between them? Do they allow mutual aid from other towns? Like, I know Candia now has an ambulance. Would that be an option?
I believe the way that it's structured is that Raymond Ambulance responds first. If they're already on a call, then mutual aid would respond, yes.
Regardless, though, we are contracted for that 70,000,
Yes.
so.
And there is citizen comment to the effect that we should go out for bids and look for other communities that might also competitively bid against Raymond.
The issue there is that other private ambulatory services are not located in an area that would make it feasible for them to be responsive. And then the other alternative would be to do an intermunicipal agreement, but those are very costly because then you're paying another town to staff full-time firefighters, paramedics, ambulances, and then they're just billing us for those same services. So we're either hiring, or we could buy our own ambulance, but I know that's,
It's a nice thought.
Couldn't we check with, it seems like Northwood and Candy are comparable distances. Are they,
Absolutely.
Epsom struggling.
just to get pricing?
Exeter and Epping, of course, are too far. They have ambulance services, but they're too far.
It just would seem a worthwhile exercise to get some pricing from other towns that are close. I mean, nobody wants an ambulance coming from an hour away.
no, but all the intermunicipal agreements that Chief Fisher has reviewed are all six-figure contracts.
They were all what?
Candia is
Six-figure.
involved with that? I feel like,
You get a contract, then you get a huge increase.
Yeah. Because they're.
Well, because those other municipalities have to staff full-time personnel to cover those calls because they've made a commitment to be able to respond to X amount or X percentage of calls and not rely on mutual aid, so.
All right, anything else?
That's probably the biggest component, and you asked before about what changes or big things are. That's probably the biggest one, actually, so far that we've seen.
It's gonna be.
All right, anything else on the town side?
When we get the next, or when the town presents the budget, is it possible to get a roster of employees by department?
I don't see any, in
With-
fact, don't we have that in the annual report?
Yeah,
Why?
It is in the annual report, but it's not by department. It's listed alphabetically, I think, so it's difficult to put the department together. Just showing how many full-time and part-time employees are in each department. And
I believe, I
Salaries?
believe that is in our budget. It's not terribly detailed, but typically it will say 2 full-time equivalents, 3 part-time employees, and then what the summation of those salaries under those 2 different headings, full-time and part-time.
by department?
It is in
Yes.
Okay.
in the detail
Well,
sheets.
it'll say full, but it won't say the number. It just says full-time employee, a
Yeah,
number.
but then in the detail
part-time
sheet, it'll
employee.
show the number.
Yeah, I think
the
it,
detail.
I think in the detail sheet it does show.
Supporting sheet.
Let's see
Chair,
here.
I just want to confirm that we are going to get detailed sheets because we did not get them last year and it made it really opaque, what
So-
the different
so-
line items covered.
So historically, we have gotten very detailed backup material from the town side. I would agree with Ms. Quinn's assessment that last year was pretty thin, if not lacking. I think that request really has to go to the select board representative, but I would echo that sentiment. Because if it's in the backup, people can look it up when they're at home. If it's not in the backup, then it gets asked, and it does extend the amount of time and discussion in meetings.
The,
An excellent call out.
the other thing I might, I've been watching the select board meetings and printing out the budget, so thank you so much for posting a full agenda with your budget so that we can look at them. And that is gonna go a long way toward my questions that I might have being answered before we actually get the budget here, and so hopefully we'll, you know.
And are those published budget sheets, including the detail sheets or not?
No.
No.
So I guess that's what we're asking is,
So the MBC members will receive the same packet that the select board members receive, but that's different than what I've been posting on the website. I've just been posting the cover sheets on the website with the agenda packets.
right, I think what I'm hearing is that they'd like to, certainly this body wants to get the detail sheets, these folks, but why wouldn't we, since we're just scanning them electronically and people can open up a PDF file, right? Is there any barrier to just adding the detailed sheets so that all citizens have that for their?
I mean, I haven't done it because I don't have them all at the same time. So that's,
So it's not easy.
well, just timing of it is not working.
Well, aren't those detail sheets prepared by the department heads?
Yes, and then they give me the cover sheets and then I post them online and I make the packet separately for the board.
At the end, though, I suppose we might be able to post the final budget, or our final budget, let's say, with the detailed sheets at that time. They'll be all in by then and all in one document.
So also historically, when we get the budget from the select board, there are extra complete packets that are out for members of the public to pick up. We haven't done that
past,
for the
we've had
school, but
The full budget for members, I don't know how many copies we do about, I think we've done maybe
15.
15 copies, 20 copies.
For the 11 members, and then if anybody from the public shows up, they can pick one up and follow along.
Sometimes they'll stop by the office, I think, and ask for one if there's any left, but it's kind of on a first come, first served basis. We can't publish thousands of them.
Yeah, for
Well,
sure.
we could, but I don't think we publish it all.
All right, anything else on the town side? All right, any old business?
Sorry.
I was gonna say, do we want a report of the trust fund, or just, we've got a pretty complete one right in front of us?
Any questions?
That would be new business. Is there any
Oh,
old business?
sorry.
Did you have something?
I was just gonna ask about the schedule of the MBC meetings, because I think we are supposed to have another meeting on the 7th.
Let's see what my little, I don't know anything. My book is the only thing that knows. Our next meeting is on the 7th, the 14th, the 21st. So in October, we will be kicking off. I can tell you I will not be here on the, I will not be here on the 7th or the 14th.
Well, I was wondering if we needed the 7th, because I think according to the schedule, we're receiving the town budget on the 14th. So I wasn't precisely sure what the 7th was for.
So that is, yeah, I'm not on, I don't have it in front of me. So if we're gonna receive the town budget on the 14th, I mean, it's at the will of the committee if we want to meet on the 7th. I know I won't be here. So,
I also probably will not be here on the 7th. Also for, not that it really matters, but for most of the town discussions, I think my second person on the MBC is going to be here for most of those discussions.
That's
So
Ms. O'Donnell, right?
Mrs. O'Donnell. So if you have school-specific questions, she's been around the budget just as long as I have, but has not been in this format.
so does anybody want to float a motion? I'll leave it to the committee. If anybody wants to float a motion to not meet on the 7th
I move we don't meet on the 7th,
of October.
of 7th of October, Mr. Chair.
Of any month. No, I'm just Ever.
Ever again.
So Bonnie made the motion. Is there a second?
Seconded.
Ms. Quinn seconded. Let me just write the motion down, just so I have it. Cancel 7 October. All right, any discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So that's a 10-0-0, whoops, 10-0-0. Okay, so the meeting on the 7th is been canceled. So we'll meet on the 14th. Again, I won't be here. I request an excused absence for that.
Will you post, or will the agenda for that date have the budgets on the town side that you would be reviewing so that the appropriate department heads can plan to be present? Or
So.
how does that process work here?
So that's an excellent question. So historically, what we've done is we have received the budget from the select board member. And typically, we get a 40,000-foot view from the select board representative. It is not unheard of for us to do some low-hanging fruit, patriotic purposes, little small things that
Sure.
don't have any discussion. And I will work with you to get a schedule together. We do like to have department heads come in. I'll contact you tomorrow, the day after, and we can go through and see what that looks like. One of the things, just so I can give you a little head start on how to think about it. In the past, we've had people that were responsible for multiple departments. Animal control and rescue maybe, right? And so typically, we would want to try to bundle those budgets one after the other, so that person only has to come in once and just bang through them.
Yep.
And typically, we'll do quite a few of the smaller departments in an evening, and save the larger department discussions for sort of standalone meetings or maybe two departments. But I'll reach out to you and we'll work through that.
That's the same philosophy used in the board meetings, on our board meetings. Is we get, like, the chief of police has three sections. Obviously, we cover them on the same night.
Yeah. So we
And-
want to keep with that.
Other old businesses, this board asked for a alternate to be appointed by the board of selectmen. That
Yeah.
had already been done. We reaffirmed that as Greg Whitmore is the alternate in case I would not be able to participate either in person or by electronic means.
Excellent, excellent, thank you. I had a brilliant thought, but I don't know where I put it.
Can't prove it.
No, can't. It's gone. It's all allegation. All right, so that's old business. New business, is there any new business, say, trust fund questions or comments?
So again, these are June 30th figures. We will be getting an update after the 30th of this month. We'll get our next quarter update. If anyone has any questions, I know this is not user-friendly. I can certainly send you the electronic copy. It's a little easier in the Excel sheet. But this will show you withdrawals that have happened.
All within this year.
This year. Yep.
Dumb question. What's BOY?
BOY,
of year?
yes,
Beginning.
yes. It took me a minute.
Good boy, otherwise.
Boy, yes, I know, I know.
That seemed too obvious.
It really wasn't a stupid question.
Child of male gender.
So if you want to take time to peruse that,
Does the committee want this spreadsheet? I know Ms. McHugh would be more than happy to send it to me, and I could distribute it to the members, or is the paper copy adequate?
I find this really hard to find.
It is very hard.
I would like, I would.
Yeah, that would be good.
Can you send them to me and I'll
Yep.
distribute them to the membership?
Yep, no problem. Much easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to.
Otherwise, you
It
have to lay
is,
them out. and
you'd have
tape
to
them
lay it
and
all
tape them
out, right.
together and-
My hope, this is prepared by law.
It's perfect.
Oh, well, they wrote that, not me.
Uh-oh, there
But
you
you know what
go.
I noticed? When I made my notes column, principal is spelt wrong.
Principe, I thought you were principe.
I was so mad.
This principle that costs so much here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And such.
That's much late, that's much later in the season.
I couldn't believe that. I'm like, oh, no. Look what I did. But anyways, as you can see, some are principal and interest, but most are principal.
All right, any other new business? We once again managed to drive our one public
Yeah, person gone.
person out of the room. I saw tears of joy, though, so I'm pretty sure she was happy.
So well.
So with no public comments, I would entertain a motion
So moved.
to adjourn. Ms. Messier, second.
Second.
Quinn.
Ms. Quinn, it's getting late in the night.
We'll help you out here, Kevin.
Thank you.
Help you out.
Thank you. I know, it's been a long couple of weeks for me. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 10-0. Thank you, and we will meet again on the 14th of October.